We got the street suckers! Can you dig it? Alright, y'all, so I've been wanting to review this movie for a long time, and I got the perfect person to review it with. And that's Dave from Interpreting the Stars, who loves gangster movies. He's the biggest fan of gangster movies. And I say, you know what, I have to have him come on and talk about the Warriors. Come out and play. I couldn't find bottles. I was gonna do the whole thing with the bottles and shit, but I couldn't find, like, I don't drink beer, so I had no bottles.
Warriors, come out to play.
So anyways, Dave's going to be joining me. I'm going to get to him in a second. So yeah, The Warriors is a 1979 film directed by Walter Hill, who also did 48 Hours and Hard Times with Charles Bronson and Trespass with Ice Cube and Ice-T. So well-known director. This is one of his earlier joints, and some controversy behind this film because at the time of its release, even though it's a fictional gang movie about over the top, like comic book looking kind of gangs, because Dave kind of talks about this later on, where he says like the gangs look like that at the time. No, these are totally purposely, silly looking gangs, right? I mean, because Walter Hill's a big comic book fan, so he wanted to be like real comic booky, even though it takes place in New York, but then no gangs look like that at the time. Like gangs back in the day wore like the leather jackets and shit, and they had their logos, but none of them dressed like the baseball furies or the what would you call them? I forgot what you called them. The gang from Beat It. You know what I'm saying? Nah, nothing like that. So yeah, Walter Hill, a big fan of comic books, wanted to make this kind of like a comic book movie. Okay, but at the time of its release, real gangs were going to see this. And when rival gangs saw each other in the theaters, guess what? It was time to knuckle up. You know how it is when you call your hood out. You used to be like, D-Land, Sanford. You know what I'm saying? Got to get down. So Paramount got scared, pulled the plug, took the movie out, but it still was able to make a profit, and it became a cult hit. Okay, so it's one of my personal favorite movies. I love this joint. Can watch it, numerous times. I watch it at least once a year. But before I get into what I really want to say about the movie, I'm going to let Dave take the floor. Dave's going to go into what the movie's about and what he thought about it and how much he loves gangster movies. So Dave, take it away, fam.
Hey, what's up? It's Dave back on Rashad's channel talking about another film, collabing on another project. It's the Warriors. The Warriors focuses on a pretty simple plot, thank God, about a squad of gangsters called the Warriors that one day agree to a truce with all the other gangsters in New York City. But the tables are turned when the leader of the biggest gangster squad in New York gets gunned down, and then the blame is placed on the Warriors, who of course did nothing. And throughout the film, the Warriors are just trying to get away, while literally every other gangster squad in the entire city is after them. Why, man, why? The last time I was on Rashad's channel, we talked about all three Godfather films, and the reason why we did that was because I unfortunately publicly told the world about my hot take in which I don't like the Godfather films. And the main reason why is because I don't like movies that revolve around mafia members or gangsters. So we did that, and now we're on to gangsters apparently. So he wants to give me a heart attack and make me claw my eyes out. This is a weird movie. The plot is simple. The plot's the best thing about it because it's the easiest thing to follow, because it is bare and kind of a shell of a story. It's very, very basic. It's something that we've seen a million times. And I would actually liken this story to be basically the same thing that we saw in John Wick 2. Where every assassin in the city is after John Wick. And so he had the same exact problem. Everywhere he goes, there's wandering eyes trying to kill him. I like John Wick 2 better though, because that's entertaining, while this is just, okay, the problem. Okay, let's start with the problem here. Can somebody please tell me if in the late 70s, early 80s, this is truly what gangsters look like? Let's take a look at what they're wearing, how they look. The Warriors in question kind of look like they're wearing Native American attire. And then you got these jazz dancer looking people. You got these mimes There's these, like, this Asian gangster squad. There's these extras from Michael Jackson's Beat It. Then again, the guys from Clockwork Orange, they were wearing whatever that was. So is this really what it looked like back in the day? Is this what the gangsters looked like? Because if so, it was just like a bunch of clowns. You're supposed to take that seriously? You're supposed to be threatened by that? Look, when I think about gangsters in general, I think about big cities such as New York, such as Los Angeles, Chicago, etc. And there's these just bad parts of town where you don't want to go out at night because you might come across these gangsters. You might fear for your life. Even if they're acting nice, you'd fear for your life because of how they look and their demeanors. And if they look like this, I'd be like, dude, the circus is in town. The one thing I will say that's good about that is that the film does, in fact, center around a bunch of gangsters in the city. And so if they're all kind of dressed like cartoon characters, then it's easy to set them apart. So they don't all look the same. That's good. But logically, they look stupid. I wouldn't say that I disliked the movie. I wouldn't say that I hated it or found it to be as much of a drab as, say, the Godfather films. I found it instead to be pretty much right down the middle in terms of things that are entertaining and things that are boring. Ultimately just means my experience as a whole was meh. I found myself to be distracted a lot when watching this movie. It's kind of like you, Rashad, when you talk about how movies make you fall asleep. If I was prone to fall asleep during movies, this would be a prime example of a movie I would fall asleep watching. I didn't care about any of the characters. Look, I mean, the main reason why I don't like Mafia and I don't like Gangster is because I don't like the characters. Not just because they're bad guys with, you know, criminal intent, but rather because from a narrative standpoint, you want main characters that have this drive, this motivation, this sense of true value in what they're doing and why they're doing it. The only value that the Warriors find in this film is that they don't want to be seen as the people that killed this guy. But why not? They're gangsters. They probably killed somebody else in the past. I mean, that's just the nature of gangsters. I mean, the entire gathering of the Warriors and every other gangster in the town is that they're cheering over the fact that they outnumber the cops 3-1. So obviously they like the idea that they can get away with some questionable, shadowy activities, like killing people. So we're supposed to take a look at the Warriors and look at them like, you know, the hero of the story because everybody else is out to get them. But they're all gangsters. They're all gangsters. I mean, just like in The Godfather, it was like kind of the same thing. A bunch of mafia families that are out to get each other. It's the same thing. Overall, for me, I found it to be a little bit of a hard watch. I didn't care about any of these characters. I mean, technically speaking, if you want to look at everything else, the performances were fine. The plot was simple, which is good. Cinematography was decent. It was of its time, though, and some things don't translate as well for modern audiences. Sorry, Rashad, you have yet to find me a movie dealing with mafia or gangsters that I like. So we take a second to take a look at my final score for the Warriors. That would be a D+ letter grade final overall score of 52%, 52 out of 100 possible stars. For anybody else, I feel like 52% would be an F. For me, I'm a little bit more lenient when it comes down to movies in general. I give it, you know, a little bit more of an edge because I understand how hard it is to make a movie in general, and if they can get away with certain things, obviously, it's halfway decent at the very least, and that deserves praise, I guess you could call it. But what about you, Rashad? I'll hand it back to you, and until next time, when we talk about something else, peace out.
Yeah, you know, I gotta pay the price later because I know you already have a movie picked out for me, musical. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of musicals, but yeah, kind of what I expected. You know, I kind of expected you not to. I expected you not to hate it, but then not to love it. I thought it'd be right. I figured it'd be right down the middle for you, but I just had to share this with you because, like, the baseball Furies to me is the standout. Even though they say nothing, they have no dialogue, but they look like the group Kiss with baseball uniforms on. And come to find out, Walter Hill is a big Kiss fan and he loves baseball, so why not combine the two, baseball and Kiss, and boom, you have the baseball Furies. All right, and another one of my favorite gangs in this movie is the Lizzies, which you don't see coming. It's an all-female gang, all of them attractive, and they suck you in just like a Venus flytrap. And then once they get you, they take you out. Luckily, they escape. So with the Warriors themselves, this has got to be one of the most diverse games you've ever seen. Now, originally, okay, this movie was based off of a novel, right? So the novel, it was an all-black gang. And Walter Hill wanted it to be an all-black game, but the studio said, nah, you got to mix it up. So that's why you have the whole spectrum in the Warriors, okay? I think you have 3 black faces. I think it's like 3 or 4 white faces and Hispanic. And, well, I guess Cochise, I think he's supposed to be Indian, I think, or Native American, because he's got like the feathers and shit and the Native American, get up. So, but anyways, yeah, he wanted to be a very diverse game, which works. No, I have no problem with that. And of course, the legendary David Patrick Kelly is in this. And if you know if you don't know the name David Patrick Kelly, if you've seen Commando, it's this guy.
Sally.
Kiss my ass.
I can't hear you.
Say it a little louder than get fucked.
Remember, Sally, when I promised to kill you last? I lied.
If you've seen The Crow, this guy.
Hey!
Yes, he never a headliner in a movie, but man, every movie he's in, you remember him. And you remember him as this guy, the Warriors did it. They killed Cyrus. And it had no reason why he did it. Like, even at the end, he was like, dude, why did you kill Cyrus? Like, this is all about a truce. And he had no answer. He said, look, because I like to do stupid shit like that. No reason. I just do stuff, I'm a dog catching cars. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I caught one. I just do things. But yeah, if I could have any gripes for this movie though, there were some pacing issues. Like, okay, so me, I'm notorious for falling asleep, and sometimes even my favorite movies will make me doze off. So rewatching The Warriors, I did kind of doze off a little bit when it came to the scene with the orphans. So that's when the movie kind of came to a screeching halt. It kind of slowed down. Because this movie does have a very good pace because they're running through the whole movie. It starts out with this truce and, okay, let's stop fighting. Let's, get together and, we got the streets, suckers. Can you dig it? And he gets killed. And from that point on, every gang is after the Warriors. They're running throughout the movie. And then you have the DJ lady with the lips. You remember her from Lean On Me. She's, narrating that, at the same time. So this movie does have a fast pace, but then when it gets to the orphans, it just says skirt. It just stops for a while, and then it picks up again when they get to the subway, and they run into the guy with the roller skates, which I think is probably the stupidest gimmick. So there's a lot of gimmicks in this movie. There's a lot of Dave, I know you were saying like you was complaining about like gangs didn't look like that, did they? No, they didn't. This is straight out of WWF, NWA. You know what I'm saying? Circus type shit. This is like comic book stuff. Like, yo, this is Gotham City, okay? Only thing that was missing from this movie is Batman, okay? Batman and probably a few villains that you recognize, like the Joker or the Riddler. But yeah, these gangs are straight from Gotham City. No. And the dumbest gimmick was the guy on the rollerblades. Who the fuck rolls around in rollerblades and being in a gang? Don't you know that all they have to do is push you and you're gonna fall? Like, there's nothing you can do. Like, if you try to fight, you're gonna get knocked down. That was just the dumbest thing ever. But that was a cool ass fight scene in the subway where they fought the hillbilly rollerblade gang or whatever. Now, as far as my favorite warrior goes, I would say Ajax, just because he was crazy. James Remar, who played the role of Ajax, he also played the villain in Walter Hill's next movie. It was 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. I feel like I need to review that one. So James Remar, he was just so crazy, just buck wild, and just just a wild card. You know what I mean? So when they finally busted him, I was like, damn, that was my favorite warrior. But other than that, yeah, the movie, besides some pacing issues, very memorable. A lot of iconic moments. David Patrick Kelly was the clear standout, and Dave, I'm glad that you somewhat enjoyed it. I mean, a D is not an F, so I can live with that. So wrapping it up, my final grade for the Warriors is an A. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Watch it once a year. It came out the year I was born, and I love this movie. What can I say? All right. So have you guys seen the Warriors? What did you think about it? Comment freely below. Let me know what you thought. If you like it, dig this content, hit that like and subscribe notification bell in the corner. And don't forget to subscribe to Interpreting the Stars. Damn, I hate I did this so late because I know some of you probably checked out around the 2 or 3 minute mark. Fuck. But hey, check out Dave. If you're still here, subscribe to Dave, Interpreting the Stars. I'm going to leave the link in the description. That's it and that's all. Rashad G signing out. See you in the next video.